Hi guys, so like I mentioned yesterday, today we'll be talking about the differences between debit cards and credit cards. Please know that this is the very basics of it, and the reason that is because there's a lot of information. I just want you guys to be familiar with the differences and just know generally about debit cards and credit cards. I will be posting this information as well as a table to show you the differences more clearly. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So you can think of debit cards as money you actually have. So in order to have a debit card, you need to open a checking or savings account. So every time you use your debit card, it will take the money you deposited into this account. And deposit is just a fancy word for when you put money into the account. You can deposit money into your account by going into a bank or through an ATM or even an app if you have another account already set up. So here are some types of banks. For example, we have Schools First, we have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Chase. These are the most commonly known banks. And I actually took this picture from UCI because, I went to UCI, All right, so let's go ahead and keep moving on and learning more about debit cards. So some people think you cannot get in debt with debit cards, but that's not really the case. So the word debt means to owe money to a bank, company, or someone. So usually here I'm referring to debt as owing money to the bank. But some debit cards will allow you to spend more money than you have in your account. So beware. So why is that an issue, spending more than you have? Well, because you have to pay it back. And if you don't pay it back, there's interest. And interest is money on top of what you already owe. Oopsies, battery's running low. So make sure you talk to the person who is helping you set up your account to restrict you from buying more than the money available in your account. So this might look like your card's gonna get declined. Let's say you only have $100 and the thing that you want to buy costs $200. So your card's gonna get declined, meaning that you're not gonna be able to purchase that item. If you don't do that, then you're gonna get what we call an overdraft fee. An overdraft fee is when you take out more money than you have. So a disadvantage to a debit card is that there are no rewards like a points or a cashback. I'll be talking more about this later. So let's go ahead and now move on to credit cards. So a credit card is often thought as money that you do not have or is given to you on a loan. So loan is like money you borrowed but with interest. And interest is a percentage you have to pay back on top of what you owe. So when you apply for a credit card, the person will ask you for proof of income. Income means the money you make. So the money you make from a job or the money you make from scholarships, the bank will take that and will decide how much credit or credit line you have. So credit or credit line is a fancy name for money you are able to borrow from the bank. And you should not go over this limit because guess what? There's a fee for that. So when it comes to credit cards and debit cards, there's a lot of fees. So make sure you're aware of them when you are getting a credit or a debit card. And as always, the fees depend on the bank, so make sure you're aware of it. What is dangerous about credit cards is that often people spend more than they are able to pay back at the end of the month. If you do not pay back in full, there is interest you have to pay. Banks usually label this as an annual percent rate or APR for purchases. So let's say you spend $125 this month and you only pay back $25. You owe the bank $100 plus interest. So the money you owe plus interest, and then that's what you owe again at the next end of the month. So I found one of my old credit card papers, and my interest if I did not pay the full was 20.24%. And here's the picture of the paper. Remember, interest is the same as APR. So to calculate the interest I had to pay, I multiply the money I owe by the interest rate. So first, I changed my percentage to a decimal. So 100 times 0.2024 gives me $20.24 of interest. So next month I owe 100 plus 20 $120.24. So I owe in total $120.24. You might be thinking, but wait, Miss Lopez, that's almost what I owe this month, and it's almost if I only paid $5 back. Yup, and that's why it can be very dangerous to own a credit card. Never spend more money than you're able to pay back. If you don't know if you can pay it back, that means you can't afford it. But let's say you're really responsible and pay back your credit card in full every single month for a year. This will give you a good credit score. A credit score basically tells a company how good you are with money. When you want to buy a car or a house, companies look at this credit score and decide whether or not they will sell you their product. So here is what a credit score, the categories that it falls into. So like if you have a credit score between 360 and 580, that's like having an F. So if you have a credit score of 360 or 580, that means you are not very trustworthy with your money, and they will most likely not give you a car or a house. If you have a credit score of 750 and 850, that means you have an A+, so you are pretty trustworthy when it comes to money. Okay, so other benefits for credit cards is that you can use them for emergency cases. Let's say you run out of gas but don't have any cash on you. You can use your credit card at the gas station. Just make sure you know what to classify as an emergency. Getting that hot Cheetos bag is not an emergency, okay? And you should talk to this about your parents. So making sure you talk to them saying, hey, when can I use my credit card and when does it count for an emergency? Okay, some, not all credit cards offer rewards like cash back or points, which you can trade for gift cards, money, airplane, or tickets. So for example, Bank of America has this 3% cash back. You pick one of these categories. 2% cash back at grocery stores or wholesale clubs, 1% cash back on all other purchases. So it all depends on your credit card. This is not for all credit cards. This is only for some credit cards. Okay, and then there's also this point system. So you get points. Some points you can trade in for cash, for merchandise, gift cards, travel, or even event tickets. So make sure you do your research. Find out what's worth it more for you, the cash back, percentage cash back, or these point systems. It all depends on what you're looking for. And the last thing I want to talk about is security. Oftentimes, they advise you to use a credit card when buying something online instead of a debit card. So what I found is that the FBI advises that when possible to purchase items online, use your credit card. You can often dispute the charges if something goes wrong. Credit cards offer fraud protection. So it's better to use a credit card than a debit card because you can always tell the bank, hey, I did not make that purchase, and you are covered under fraud protection. All right, last thing, beware of the fees. There are many fees when it comes to coming with credit cards and debit cards. So make sure you understand the fine print. If you do not understand, ask the person who you are getting a credit or debit card from at the bank. They're able to answer all your questions, and oftentimes if you don't understand them in English, you can get it translated into Spanish. All right, guys, I hope this helps and that you're able to understand a little bit more about the differences between debit cards and credit cards.